Your body feels fine, maybe even energized, but your mind is always on the verge of collapse. It's a strange exhaustion, one that sleep can't cure. You lie down at night hoping for peace, but the moment your head hits the pillow, your thoughts get louder. They race, they rewind, they fast forward through situations that haven't happened and may never happen. You run yourself into the ground without moving a muscle. Each morning feels heavier than the last. Not because of what you did, but because of what you thought. Overthinking is like trying to outrun your own shadow, constant, unshakable. You go through your day mechanically, carrying out tasks while mentally reworking conversations, reviewing past mistakes, or worrying about things you said that no one else even noticed. Your brain is never on pause. It's always editing, analyzing, doubting. You try to escape it, not with sleep because sleep doesn't bring relief. So instead, you look for distractions. Scrolling endlessly through your phone, turning the volume up on your music, watching shows not to enjoy them but to drown out the thoughts. You talk more than usual sometimes, just to keep your mind busy. You eat when you're not hungry. You fidget. You pick up your phone again. Anything to avoid being alone with the noise. But the silence always finds you. In the elevator, in the shower, when someone stops talking, when you're alone in your room. Comes back, louder than before, demanding attention. It's in those moments that you start dissecting everything. Every look, every word, every pause in a conversation. You convince yourself that someone must be upset, that you were too much or not enough or maybe just wrong entirely. Outwardly, you seem fine. You smile. You laugh at the right time. You ask how others are doing. You nod along. People think you're thoughtful, maybe quiet, maybe just a little reserved. But inside, it's chaos. A war that never ends. You're not quiet because you have nothing to say. You're quiet because you're saying too much internally. You're debating, replaying, questioning things that don't even require answers. You're measuring your every move, fearing missteps that no one else would notice. You can be in a room full of people who care about you and still wonder if you truly belong. You can feel loved and still doubt it. You can be complimented and still overanalyze the tone. The smile might have been polite. The message might have been obligatory. Your brain rarely lets you accept things at face value. What makes it harder is that no one can see this happening. There's no fever, no cast, no gun. Just you carrying the weight in silence. And because no one sees it, no one understands how tired you really are. You're exhausted, not because of the outside world, but because of your inner one. Because you're constantly performing, not for attention, but for survival. You're trying to keep up the appearance of normal when your mind is running a marathon behind your eyes. And that's the most draining part of all. The pretending. Pretending that you're okay. Pretending that you're listening when you're lost in a loop. Pretending you're relaxed when your heart is tight and your thoughts are fast. You're holding in so much that there's barely space to breathe. The overthinking doesn't shout. It whispers, quiet, constant, and consuming. It convinces you that you're the only one feeling this way, the only one who can't just chill, the only one stuck in your own head. But you're not alone. You're just tired. And that kind of tired runs deep, especially when no one knows you're carrying it. You reread texts like they hold secrets, like each word is a puzzle you need to solve. Not just once, but over and over again. You examine punctuation, sentence breaks, emojis, or the absence of them. You wonder if a period means they're upset, or if the delay in their reply means they're losing interest. You type out responses, delete them, retype them, trying to strike the perfect tone. Not too cold, not too eager, just safe. Just enough to keep them engaged without exposing how much you care. You check if they've seen your message, if they left you on read, if they were online but didn't reply. And then you think, did they see it too soon? Did you seem too available? Too needy? Did you reply too quickly? Or worse, too slowly? Every little interaction becomes a mental analysis. Every silence, a possible rejection. Every word, a potential minefield. You rehearse conversations before they happen. You prepare responses for questions that might never come. You predict how others will react, not because you expect conflict, but because you want to be ready. For anything. For everything. After a conversation ends, You replay it in your head like a director watching a scene over and over. You notice what you should have said differently. You reframe awkward pauses. You rewrite jokes that fell flat. You try to improve the past, even though you can't touch it anymore. You remember what others forget. You hold on to fleeting expressions, casual remarks, throwaway words. Not because you're fragile, but because your mind stores everything. A glance, a change in tone, a slight hesitation. These become files in your memory, waiting to be reviewed later. People call it overthinking, but to you, it's survival. It's your way of making sense of a world that often feels too subtle, too unpredictable. You don't do this to cause problems. It's not drama you want, it's clarity. You just want to be sure. You want to avoid hurt, confusion, rejection. But in the process of trying to protect yourself, you wear yourself out. Overthinking becomes second nature, a silent rhythm running in the background of everything you do. It becomes a part of you, an invisible habit. It doesn't look like anything from the outside. No one sees it. You're sitting still, eyes on your phone, or staring off into space. They think you're calm. But inside, you're working through conversations that haven't happened yet, solving problems no one else can see. You look focused, but it's not productivity, it's fear. Fear of missteps, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being too much, fear of being not enough. This habit steals your presence. Even in moments of joy, you're calculating. Did I laugh too loud? Was that story boring? Are they tired of me? You don't want to think this way, but it's automatic. And then you start to think about the fact that you're overthinking. You spiral into shame, wondering why you can't just be normal. Why can't you relax like other people? Why can't you just let go? And that's the part no one tells you. That sometimes the hardest part of overthinking isn't the thoughts themselves. It's the loneliness of carrying them. The invisible burden. The exhausting loop that plays behind every smile, every conversation, every text. You think too much. And then you think about why you think too much. You try to stop. But stopping feels like letting go of control. Like leaving a door unlocked in a world full of uncertainties. So you keep going. Quietly. Invisibly. Hoping one day it won't feel so loud inside your head. You call it normal because it's all you've ever known. The noise in your head, the endless rewinding, the second-guessing. It's so familiar, it feels like part of who you are. You assume everyone thinks this way, that everyone lies in bed, staring at the ceiling, retracing steps they never took or replaying conversations that happened years ago. But slowly, you've started to notice it's not like that for everyone. Some people let go. They say something awkward, laugh, and move on. They don't carry it with them for days. They don't dissect every word, every look, every silence. You watch those people and feel something like envy, not out of bitterness, but out of longing. How do they do it? How do they release things that your mind holds onto like their life or death decisions? You don't want to carry everything, but your brain doesn't give you the option to drop it. Feels like it all matters. Every detail, every pause, every tone of voice. But what if there's a reason? What if this overthinking isn't a flaw, but a reflection? A reflection of how deeply you care. About words, about people, about the space between things. Maybe you don't overthink because you're weak. Maybe it's because you're observant. Maybe your brain picks up on the details that others miss. And yes, sometimes that leads to spirals, but it also means you're tuned in. It means you want to understand, to connect, to avoid hurting anyone, including yourself. There's a certain beauty in that, a certain honesty. You're not detached. You're not numb. You feel things fully, maybe too fully. And while that can be exhausting, it also means you're alive in a way that some people aren't. You're trying to make sense of a world that often doesn't make sense. You're trying to find meaning in things that others overlook. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's depth. That's awareness. But awareness doesn't mean you don't deserve rest. You do. More than anything, you deserve peace. Peace from the thoughts that spin without stopping. Peace from the pressure to always be perfect, to always say the right thing, to always be liked or understood. You deserve to breathe without needing to justify it. You deserve stillness, even if your mind resists it. So maybe the answer isn't in shutting off the thoughts. Maybe it's in softening toward them, in no longer trying to fix or silence them, but simply noticing them, letting them come, letting them go, like watching clouds drift across the sky without chasing after them. You are not the thoughts themselves. You are the space they move through, the observer, the awareness behind the noise. Tonight, when the overthinking returns, and it will, maybe you can meet it with something gentler than resistance. Not agreement, not indulgence, just compassion. A quiet acknowledgement. Yes, that's a worry. Yes, that's a memory. Yes, that's a what if. But you don't have to climb inside everyone. You don't have to hold on. You can just watch. You can pause. You can breathe. You can exist without solving everything at once. Maybe this is the beginning of a new kind of quiet. Not the absence of thought, but the presence of peace alongside it. Not a fight, but a softening. A place to rest, even if only for a moment. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough for now.